This is Mexicast.
Those wonderful folks were my husband's cousins, Jesse and Mira Lieberman, on my family's trip to Seattle, Washington earlier this month. Now we are at my cousin's home, Nicole and Frank Potagil, in Wisconsin on Lake Winnebago. This month, my daughters and I have gone to Wisconsin, Washington, Michigan, and Illinois. And as wonderful as these travels are, and let's face it, this is wonderful, we always love going home to New Mexico. This week's story is a perfect example of why that is. When you think about New Mexico, there's a good chance the idea of a hot air balloon comes to mind because of Albuquerque's International Balloon Fiesta. Well, I recently had the chance to discover that it doesn't necessarily need to be hundreds of balloons filling the sky to have a memorable experience. All you need is one balloon and a very colorful pilot to have memories that can last a lifetime. This episode is brought to you by Boot Camp and Beyond, where behavioral medicine specialist and life coach Dr. Mark Arcuri joins forces with fitness expert and personal trainer Joseph Garcia to create the most unique fitness program I've ever seen. In the time it takes you to watch 6 reality show reruns, they'll help you transform your body, mind, and soul to start really living. If you're in New Mexico, you can sign up right now for an upcoming boot camp. If you're not, they can actually bring the boot camp to you. Just visit bootcampandbeyond.org to start your own transformation today. As the sun peeks over the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in Taos, New Mexico, a balloon crew breaks the early morning silence.
1, 2, 3.
At this hour, before even the coffee shops are open, you'd think this Pueblo Balloon Company crew would be a humorless bunch.
Okay, guys, hop in.
But they're actually quite the opposite as they go about prepping the hot air balloon for liftoff.
Oh, but you're so tall.
Still, don't be fooled by their laid-back attitudes. There's a lot of work to be done here, starting with unpacking and filling the balloon.
We're about to crank up these fans here and start what's called the cold inflation, where we actually pack the balloon full of air, cold air. And once it's packed full of cold air, then I'll crank up the burners there, throw the heat to it, and that'll stand it up. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
As the hot air balloon begins to take shape, its owner, Barbara Ireland, is swallowed up by the huge fabric while she straightens it out.
Well, when you pack it up, sometimes it folds on itself. So if you go under and go like this, it helps it. It's me.
Meanwhile, Lisa Tringali secures the parachute at the crown of the balloon.
And we're going to tab these Velcro to the parachute, which actually make sure that the shape of the balloon is accurate. The first thing it's going to do when it gets in the balloon and flies it is release this. So we're just making sure the balloon has its correct shape.
Ed is Ed Smith, today's pilot. Today's passengers, half a dozen journalists from across the U.S., here for the Summer of Love media tour.
Summer of Love is a celebration of the 40th anniversary of Easy Rider. Dennis Hopper, who is one of the stars in the film, owned the Maple Lujan Dodge house and edited the film there. And so Dennis Hopper's coming back to Taos to celebrate with his artist friends. They'd all moved here in the late 60s, part of the counterculture revolution. And 5 of his buddies that had moved from L.A. to Taos will have he's curating a show for them at the Harwood Museum of Art.
I was an abstract expressionist originally, so.
While they mostly came to see Dennis Hopper, the Taos tourism folks made sure the journalists, bloggers, podcasters, and photographers didn't miss the other things Taos has to offer.
It's more than just an art show. In Taos, there's great summer outdoor recreation activities from rafting to hot air ballooning, llama trekking, bicycling up in the Taos Ski Valley, hiking, and of course my favorite, fly fishing.
Speaking of flying, the final step before the balloon can take off. Firing up the burners to heat the air inside the envelope. Offering great visuals and audio for the many projects photographer and first-time balloonist Katka Konechna is working on.
I'm taking photos and I'm also taking video for an article for Talent in Motion. about Taos, New Mexico, and yeah, basically this little quick adventure. And I'm also taking some visual footage for video art piece I'm doing for Hermitage in St. Petersburg in November.
But the vibrant colors from the flames shooting up into the purple balloon may seem dull compared to the pictures she's about to get. As Ed Smith takes these 6 journalists and 2 very outnumbered civilians into northern New Mexico's skies, heading for the Rio Grande Gorge.
Well, ladies, if you have any pull with Mother Nature, we could use a little bit of a right turn to get us back over the middle so we can drop down.
Are you saying we're full of hot air?
Well, you're closer to Mother Nature than I am. I know for a fact she doesn't listen to me.
He may not have much control over Mother Nature, but Ed Smith skillfully maneuvers the balloon right into the gorge, offering unlimited photo ops for the paparazzi-like passengers.
I'm doing video, I'm doing cell phones to TwitPic, and I'm going to videotape you.
So we're talking about high-tech ballooning, apparently.
Oh, very high-tech ballooning, definitely.
None of us will remember what this was like until we watch the video.
The video is amazing, and the pilot continuously quotable.
Yeah, that's not a shadow, that's a ballooner eclipse. I got the best job in the state. I get high every morning and then drink champagne. I mean,
You're right.
you can't beat that.
But it's not just one-liners. With Pueblo Balloon Company pilots like Ed Smith, you always get more than a stunning view. You get an education about everything from local folklore.
And Arthur Manby was a notorious English gentleman. He came to Taos and he did a lot of nefarious things. Like he would seed gold mines and then sell shares of the gold mines, which of course were worthless. So in 1929 they found his head in one room and his body in another room of his estate. And after a very thorough investigation they ruled it a suicide. This is true story.
To the value of a really lucky hand in poker.
What kind of compensation you guys get for running the casino balloon?
Barbara won this balloon in a poker game.
Are you serious?
Really?
Yeah, the Fantasy Springs Casino out in California. This is their second one. And right after they had it built, they changed the logo, they changed their colors, and they changed their management.
Oh,
They didn't fly the balloon anymore.
that's right.
Barbara got in a poker game with the owner. That's why we call it 5-card stud. That's the game she was playing when she won it. He had a pair of aces and a pair of tens, and she had 3 queens.
Oh,
That
nice.
was the only bad part is she won't tell us what she had in the pot. All she'll say is that, well, it seemed like a good idea at the time.
And in case Ed's stories aren't colorful enough for writers like Steve Kaplan from Talent in Motion magazine,
You want to do a dip and drip?
Ed throws in a little dip and drip in the Rio Grande for good measure.
A dip and drip is when you just go in a little bit. If you go in up to your knees, it's called a splash and dash. And if you go in up to your neck, it's called a really big mistake.
Thankfully, there are no such mistakes today.
They do need to be a little more serious.
What did he say?
We actually touched the water?
Yeah, that's the plan. That's what somebody asked for.
It wasn't me, I must have been somebody else.
Just gently skimming the surface of the water and then floating back out of the gorge.
The northeast is a lot more workable than the northwest, so I'm going to go to the east side.
Copy that. We'll go over to B007.
Now, with enough photos and fodder to write a dozen articles, the basket full of journalists meets up with the chase crew on the ground.
Well, my plan was to hit this big road over here because Dave told me we had a south on the surface. But actually we're going a little bit west, so we'll probably end up on this little skinny road over here. Remember that thing I said about Mother Nature?
Once this motley crew is back on solid ground, there's more work to be done.
Okay. Everyone out?
BCT's
BCTs.
What does that mean?
Balloon Compression Technician. But we do have an ancient Oriental secret for this.
And how is that?
You back up to the bag with your heels against the bag. It's called buns on.
Buns on?
Buns on.
As everyone helps deflate her hot air balloon, owner Barbara Ireland takes a moment to address a wild rumor. So I understand you won this balloon in a what?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Oh, no.
Oh, come on. Well, he already told me about it.
Oh,
but is it true?
Oh, yes. That part's true. The part about not ever telling what I put up is also true.
And we can't convince you to change your mind right now?
Oh, no. My mother might see this.
She might. Finally, after the balloon is hoisted back into the van, there's just one more thing that needs to be lifted.
Yeah, the champagne glass.
The balloonist's champagne toast has been the perfect ending to perfect flights for more than 200 years.
Yeah! It's going
to be a wonderful landing tomorrow.
Now, see, tomorrow's landing will be windy
If
I don't catch the cork.
It's an age-old tradition that today's passengers are happy to carry on.
You'll raise your glasses. We have a little toast of ballooning. The winds have welcomed you with softness. The sun has blessed you with its warm hands. For you have flown so high and so well that God has joined you in your laughter and set you gently back into loving arms of Mother Earth.
Here, here, cheers.
In Taos, New Mexico, for New Mexicast, I'm Rosalinda Román. In that story, I mentioned that the reason I went to Taos was the Summer of Love media tour, and this is just the first story from that tour of Taos. So be sure to subscribe to New Mexicast either in iTunes or by email so you don't miss a moment of the fun. You can also follow me on Twitter or become a fan on Facebook. Thank you so much for supporting New Mexico's most enchanting video podcast. I'm Rosalinda Román.
Like a dream I had.
New Mexicast's theme song is New Mexico by Dorian Spencer. Additional support for New Mexicast provided by the very savvy technical help of my favorite web development consultant, Adam W. Warner. Find him at learnwebtools.com.
I'm Jesse at the Fish Ladder in Seattle, and this is New Mexicast.
Lake Washington run.
You can't see them, but there are fish in there. There they are. You know, fish don't perform on demand. I don't know what that's all about.
I'm Jesse. And I'm Mira. In the Seattle Lot.
There's the fish at least. Okay.
What's that bird doing? Oh, they're two birds mating. I think they were.
In Wisconsin on Lake Winnebago. And, whoa! You fell down?
Uh-huh. Hey, will somebody jump up and down for me a little bit?
Okay.
Yeah, that trap door's gonna hold. I told you that duct tape would work. He didn't believe me.
Oh, what's her name? Jesse James and... What's that lady's name? God. Talk about a brain part. Can you see that rock wall right there where the balloon shadow is? I mean, sorry. Ballooner eclipse. The ballooner eclipse is.
You've been in a balloon before.
Yeah, I've been to Kenya over the Masai Mara, what do you call it?
Masai Mara.
What's it called?
Masai Mara.
These are serious journalists, by the way.
Working our buns off.
They're BCTs.
We're gonna drop down even lower here. See what happens. You like that see what happens part?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, if you're a control freak, ballooning might not be for you.
He's always talking about a glare problem, but I haven't figured out what he's talking about. Anybody else know? I don't have a glare problem.
Oh my gosh.
We're terrible, aren't we?
This is to all of my viewers who couldn't be here. I hope you enjoy the story.
Yeah, some people